Hey folks, Kilt-Man here. Kilt-Man at your snowbound, frozen services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. Yeah, snowbound. We are. Where I am, the Kilt Mansion, on the Wirral Peninsula. We got snow for the first time in ages, and I mean real snow. It arrived overnight between Monday and Tuesday, which is a couple of days ago now. And then we woke up to Narnia on Tuesday morning. Now, those of you who follow me on Facebook, you'll have seen lots and lots of pictures of me and Roxy, the husky dog, out there parading about in the snow. And those more courageous followers will have seen pictures of me topless, but in my kilt, hauling a friend's car out of a snowdrift. Yes. Oh, every day's an adventure for Kilt-Man. But yeah, it's snowing. Well, it's not snowing right now, but we've had more snow came overnight, but it was a light smattering. It kind of renewed the whitescape. But the sun's been binging all day long and dead low in the sky. Ultra bright blue, beautiful sky, and that golden orb of the sun. So the new snow and ice kind of like faded away. However, there could be more on the way, but who knows? This all ties in with, well, obviously I've got a lot of thing stuff around, and you can hear John Carpenter's and Ennio Morricone's haunting magisterial score for 1982's The Thing. As everybody knows, it's my favourite film of all time. I may have said that a few times because I've banged on about the movie for the last 5 years on YouTube. So, anyway, why are we talking about The Thing? Well, we're not really. We're talking about True Detective Season 4, which it's a cult TV show. I watched the first season with Matthew McConaughey and the other guy, Woody Harrelson. And it was a great sort of bicker bantering, two blokes on the case with hang-ups and all that and big murder mystery. And it was great. It kind of broke the mould in sort of detective shows. You then got Season 2, which I didn't watch any of at all, which I believe, and I could be wrong about this, was that not Colin Farrell? Could be wrong. And then you got Season 3 with the guy that is going to be playing Blade in the revamped version of Blade. And I don't know his name, I apologise. And now we get Season 4. And this one is, well, as all this clearly reveals, is hugely inspired by The Thing. Oh, don't worry, I've checked into all this. It massively is, and deliberately so. It isn't accidental. It isn't like, well, I'm going to try and sneak a few Thing references into this. Hope no one notices. No, it's done massively deliberately. And yet, as we will find out, not that brilliantly either, I have to say. If you can hear sort of groaning noises, said husky dog is actually on the floor here right now after her big long walk in the remnants of the snow and ice, and she's now relaxed and snoozing away. But this Season 4, True Detective, what's it called? Night Country. I'm going to say Dark Country then. It's set up in northern Alaska during their winter time where you get no sunshine at all. So yes, think 30 days of night as well. And you've got a research station. And you've got 8 scientists, researchers there, who during the rather enigmatic and bizarre opening sequence go missing. Enter our police chief, played by Jodie Foster, and a state trooper, played by, let's get her name right, Callie Reese, who will then obviously undergo the investigation. It will incur remembering and uncovering a previously unsolved murder of a Native American woman who was stabbed something like 32 times and her tongue was removed. Because when they get to this research station to go and investigate why is nobody there, they find a tongue on the floor, a human tongue. But not just any old tongue, a tongue that has, where someone's doing fishing and they're licking or putting saliva on the twine of the line. I don't know. I don't fish. I don't angle. So, but they mention this, and there's all like grooves on the tongue where that's what that's come from. So who's took the tongue out? Whose tongue is it? Anyway, we're in this little fictional town of Ennis, Northern Alaska, and everyone's got secrets. Everybody. There's all sorts going on there. There's this previous murder which will be uncovered. By the way, there will be spoilers here. There's only been one episode so far. I'm doing a lot of pointing again. I'm very Peter Cushing these days. I keep doing the finger of accusation and the finger of importance, and I can't help it. But been one episode so far, and it's weekly sort of thing. I think it runs to about 6 episodes. I'm not too sure about that. And I watched it last night. It came out a few days ago, and but people have been on to me saying like, "Oh, you gotta watch this. It's the thing. It's the thing." Well, is it? So you got Jodie Foster as police chief. Let's get her name. Liz Danvers. And you've got the state trooper, played by Callie Reese, Evangeline Navarro. Now, she's Native American, and she's got like piercings there and there. I've seen people say like, you wouldn't be out there in the frozen wilderness and you've got metal in your cheeks. It's going to just freeze your face up. Well, let's not forget that in The Thing, we have Richard Dysart as Dr. Copper, who has a nose ring. Back in 1982, for an older guy, that seemed very strange when you first saw it. Has he got... And a lot of people didn't even clock onto it until it came onto home video, and then came onto like DVD and then Blu-ray and all that. So the extra detail, has he got... It's been known since the film first came out. Yes, he's got a nose ring. So anyway, but Navarro is now a state trooper. But she and Danvers, the Jodie Foster character, have obviously worked together before, and they're kind of like, there's a bit of animosity there. Like, what are you doing on my case? You're a trooper. You've got no jurisdiction here. I don't know how it all works. America's laws are very strange when it comes to state troopers and, rangers and police and LAPD and NYPD. They've all got different laws and things, and you can overstep the mark and get on someone else's turf and incur their wrath and be ousted. And look at John McClane, Nakatomi Plaza. He's an NYPD copper. He shouldn't be there, and the LAPD don't like him, But to us, he's a hero. So you've got all this sort of stepping on people's toes sort of thing going on. So there's a bit of animosity there, but there's also some back history. This previous unsolved murder. And everyone's got baggage. All the characters in Ennis, Northern Alaska, have got psychological and physical damage from previous relationships and such like. So we discover as well that I said there wouldn't be too many spoilers, but I'm not really gonna go scene by scene from this, but just I'll talk about bits and bobs of it. Jodie Foster's character has what, if I remember rightly, does seem to be a Native American stepdaughter. And her stepdaughter, when we first get introduced to her, don't know her character's name, don't know the actress's name. They're in a car and they're driving through Ennis in the darkness and the harsh lights that will always affect. You've ever been to these places where it's perpetual darkness and you've got the artificial light? It's really aggravating. It becomes too much. Drives a lot of people kind of bonkers. People don't stay there. You really got to fall in love with a place like this to go through it. It's perpetual summertime, and then you get the perpetual wintertime. Not so good. And those blinding lights can become a huge either figure of reassurance, or they'll become a nightmarish, glaring neon sign in your face all the time. So, but they're in the car and they're driving down, and there's a narrow miss with a drunken girl who's got another backstory which we're going to get to know about at some point. But we learn that the stepdaughter has This is what I thought, what are you doing here? She's done a video and put it online of her having sex with another girl, but a girl who could be 15, or as the stepdaughter says, she's actually 16. I don't think it makes it any better, to be honest. Are we meant to believe that Jodie Foster has kind of like brushed this under the carpet and not pursued it, or because she's got sort of connections, the whole thing's been quashed? But you watch your step, little lady. Stop playing around lesbian style with other girls and putting it on social media. It's a very strange thing and a little bit disconcerting, I think. You also have, while we're on the topic of sex and taboo, we have, what's her name again? Evangeline Navarro, who's the state trooper. Excuse me a minute. Oh, that reminds me. A little bear pidge there reminds me that I need some firewater. Oh, it does indeed. To quell the wind. Cheers, y'all. We have a sex scene with her and some bloke. I don't even know who the bloke is. Is it her previous boyfriend? She's gone back, or is it her actual proper fella? I don't know. But when he answers the door, I thought, hey, it's a bit of a Jason Momoa look there. But then she basically throws him into bed. She's tattooed up the wazoo and back, and she rides him. She rides him like a bucking bronco, which she breaks in. And I use the word breaks quite forcefully because this is the epitome of, if a bloke ever thinks he could be raped by a woman, this would be it. She rides him hard and he's in pain because she's really going for it. And I thought, why the hell are you showing this? I'm no prude, folks. I've never been a prude, never will be a prude. But sex, if you want to watch the sex scene, watch porn. If a sex scene actually has some relevance to the story and the characters, or setting a scene, creating atmosphere, which it can do. Look at the Hammer movies, for God's sake. You know, sex plays a part in genre. But this seemed to me to be utterly unnecessary. And God, this is me saying this, gratuitous. But it also seemed to be the very thing that this episode has been rallied against by all the bros, you know, the lads, the blokes. It's woke, it's feminism, it's, yeah. And I kind of thought the same thing myself. And I don't want to be saying things like this because there's no reason why it shouldn't be there. But from a dramatic and narrative perspective, it seemed to me to be gratuitous, lengthy, and unnecessary. And I didn't like it. I just thought, unless it's going to play into the plot as it develops, what was the point of this? You've now got a True Detective saga where you've got two leading women who are playing the lead detectives, the main heroes, heroines of the story. You've got already a lesbian sort of taboo breaking story that's in there bubbling away. I have nothing against any of this, but the people that have been really rallying against it on Rotten Tomatoes, you know, you say tomato, I say tomato, but Rotten Tomatoes has come down and review bombed this episode completely. To the point where producer, writer, director Issa Lopez did a tweet. Do we still call it tweets? Because it's now like X, formerly known as Twitter. I don't know, I never use that shit. But she tweeted against Rotten Tomatoes and said, like, you know, I want everyone to rally round and like fight back against this. And then she retracted it. and then said, look, all the bros and all the Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson fans, please get round my show. Bit of a strange one, because she's female and she's the showrunner. You know what? For a long time, folks, I really thought the term showrunner meant, just the T-boy, right? Coffee break, everyone. Director calls cut, right? Showrunner, go and get coffee for everybody, and like he comes running back in, a little tray of coffees and all that, like, and gets burgers and whatever. That's what I thought a showrunner was. No, it literally is. I run the show, and she does. Writer, director, producer. It's her baby. Female, and don't go leaping on this. All I'm stating facts here, and the facts that people have railed against. She's female and she's running the whole show. Her two leads are female. Her story appears to be totally female orientated, and you've got a really powerful state trooper who will ride her fella into the ground. He's in pain. She's breaking him, literally. Now, some of you might know exactly what I'm referring to there, because if you've been through that, yeah, and it can happen, Despite how macho we think we are, and how festooned with testosterone we think we are. No. There's always someone out there that can break you. Cheers, y'all. So that scene, I don't like. The lesbian thing with the stepdaughter seems utterly unnecessary, and even if it plays a part in later episodes and becomes part of the actual overall story, which it probably could do, I still think that's thrown in there as, no, we're doing this because this is told from a female perspective, but everything is then skewed to female. Let's not do that at the expense of story. That's all I'm saying. If you've got it there and it makes sense and everything comes full circle, fine. I won't have a problem with it. But crammed into the first episode, I think it hit like a sledgehammer on a really broken, fouled anvil, and it struck a wrong clang for me. But anyway, The Thing. Let's talk about The Thing. I keep forgetting her name. Issa Lopez. When she was young, her father gave her a book, which all of us monster kids have all got. Only hers was the newer one, of horror movies. And it was just a pictorial, just monsters, photos, and she centered on a picture of a severed head with spider legs on it, and it just blew her mind. Of course, it was from The Thing, Rob Bottin's effect for Norris's head come off and sprouts legs and scuttles across the floor of Outpost 31, to then be incinerated by MacReady, of course, who takes no prisoners, And it blew her mind. She said, I've got to see this film. Now, of course, when the film came out, I could go and see it at the flicks, because I'm older than she is. She managed to get hold of a VHS copy and took it round to her mate's house, and they watched it, and her mate hated it because she couldn't sleep for weeks after watching The Thing. And she says, I keep forgetting her name, Issa Lopez says that, I couldn't sleep for weeks afterwards either, but not because I was scared. I was excited. I loved it. So all her life she's wanted to capture the mood, atmosphere and style of John Carpenter's The Thing. I read a huge interview with her, and she goes on about The Thing all the time. But not only The Thing. I'm doing that again, this bloody finger, this waggling finger. I should be a school teacher. No, I shouldn't. 30 Days of Night, certainly. 7 is in here a lot. But also, the thing that gets me is not The Thing references. There's even, when they investigate did I say before? I've forgotten now. When they investigate the now deserted research station, there is a copy on DVD on a shelf, very prevalently shown amongst many other movies there, is The Thing. you know. But it's there so you can see it. So it's bloody obvious, you know, bloody obvious. But it's Twin Peaks, folks. An isolated community. It's rural, you know. Everyone's got a back history, a backstory. They're all haunted by this, that, and the other. And there are supernatural elements, which we'll come on to. And there are surreal elements. To me, when I watched this first episode, I thought, this is, yeah, the thing. It's pretty much, you know, on the nose there with that. But it's more Twin Peaks. You have a strange woman who, when we first meet, an older woman, when we first meet her, she's out in the wilds, in the snow and the ice. And she's got, I didn't like this scene actually, a wolf hanging. And she guts the wolf and she's going to skin it and do whatever she does with it. Didn't like that, to be honest, but anyway. And then she sees a strange guy with long hair and no footwear on in the snow and ice. And she clearly knows this guy, but it is mysterious. And we'll keep cutting back to her and this guy, because this guy will lead her out onto the ice, points to something away, which we can't see, and does some kind of like impressionistic sort of dancing things. Well, you'd have to be a complete dickhead not to have realised before the actual twist comes or the revelation comes that no one is out there in the ice with like minimal clothing on and no footwear. You're dead, boy. You're dead. You're either a zombie or you're a ghost, an apparition, which he turns out to be. So, oh, sorry, spoiler. Well, you knew I was going to do this. They do find, at the end of the episode, these missing 8 researchers from the, what's it called again? The Sarsel research station, who are doing stuff in like biological creation of life and things, research, as you do, you know. And they find, because this woman who's been led by this strange apparition guy, very similar again to the wild man in Twin Peaks, leads her out onto the ice and points to somewhere, but we don't see what it is until she makes the call to our heroes, who then go out there and, right, it's that way. Well, who told you? Who was pointing the way? It was whatever the character's name is. You know he's dead, don't you? You do remember that he's dead. So whether that's her son, or it could even be a sibling, or it could even be husband. I don't know how it works. And I may have missed something there as well. But so we now know that what she was seeing was a vision. But either way, the vision took her to the frozen bodies of the 8 dead researchers. Well, I assume it's the 8 dead, because you only see about 2 faces. They're in the ice. And all you can see is like literally from there upwards. And they're like, again, like frozen face. Split face in the thing. Frozen in the ice with a rictus of a, okay, you've got a split face because it's mid-assimilation, as we know, but it's like, you know, and you've got at least 2 faces you see in a rictus of fear and terror, frozen in the ice with their fingers like that, just coming out of the ice. It's a beautifully enigmatic and weird shot, but we don't learn anything more after that. So, creepy a little bit. There is searches around the abandoned research station with like figures running past and like shadows and stuff like, and then, you know, and little clues come up. That previous murder I mentioned, the thing which Evangeline Navarro, who's the state trooper, and also native, she's got a bit of bitterness towards Danvers, the Jodie Foster character, because it's unsolved, and you could have worked on this, you could have put more effort into it, because it was a native woman, and who was vocally opposed to a mining facility being erected there. I don't know, was it tribal? I can't remember, folks, but it was opposed to it, and then obviously someone took it out bad style, stabbed her 32 times, and cut her tongue out, but the tongue removal was not made public. So what's going on there? There's a severed tongue. Is that the tongue? We don't know, do you? But Danvers, Jodie Foster, gets her young deputy to go and steal the files on that old case, that unsolved case, once it's all kicked off with the missing researchers. From, I think it's his dad's place. I think his dad was a copper, well, is a copper, but he had all the case files. But go and get the case files. I mean, he does, he nicks them, but and his dad susses out and like, yeah, well, just take them, just don't break anything and look out for the frozen ice. Oh, that like, but so they go back and the two of them, Danvers, Jodie Foster, and this younger deputy will look at the photos and discuss it all. So there's definitely a connection to all this, severed tongues and all sorts of things. But I don't know, folks. I wanted to be massively gripped and excited by this, and certainly the intro with the guys at the research installation was intriguing because you meet various ones and you see them and blah blah blah. They're doing about their business, and it's like sort of like the evening. Well, I know it's all perpetual night, but you still work a 24-hour sort of day. You sort of work your hours that you're meant to, and then downtime. And one guy's got his tea, his supper, whatever, and begins to start shaking. And this guy goes, "What the hell's wrong with you?" Yeah. And I think he turned around and said, like, "She's awake." Who's awake? And then that's it. You're like, "Whoa." And then when they go there and they suss on, because I think a delivery guy, someone giving supplies, finds the place is empty. When they get there, it's like the Mary Celeste, like the coffee's still hot, the teas are on the table and all that. They all left in a hurry. But Danvers will notice in photographs of all the research team that one guy's wearing a parka which is similar or identical to a parka in a photograph in the evidence from the previous killing, the earlier killing, the unsolved murder. Ooh, so what's going on there? Something's going on. God, I'm getting more excited about it just talking about it. Cheers, y'all. Jodie Foster, after playing Clarice Starling in The Silence of the Lambs, refused every script for decades afterwards that had. She was meant to be playing a detective going against a serial killer. Everybody wanted it to reprise that role in some way or do a version of it for their movie, their story. She's like, "No, I've done that." Oscar-winning actress and a great actress. Getting older now, and she looks like an old friend of mine, who probably isn't a friend of mine anymore, Colette McLean. She looks identical now to Colette McLean, with her little short blonde bob and the kind of harried face that she's got. She's getting old. Jodie Foster's an older girl now, but wonderful, and but she's so pinched around the jaw and the mouth and the crow's feet and all that. Colette, if you're watching, I do apologise, but I don't think you ain't watching, so don't worry about it. She said, "I'm not doing any roles like that again." And then, Lopez gave her this script because she wrote it, and Jodie Foster went like, "God, yeah, I like this." Obviously, she's reading the entire script, or I presume so, because sometimes they hold stuff back to give the actual actor a bit of a shock as well. How am I going to deal with this? You don't know how it's going to pan out. And I like that sort of thing. And I do believe this is what they did with True Detective to begin with. Am I right about that? There was a few shocks in store for the actors themselves. But I'm doing this. This is going to break that bubble that I've cocooned myself in. And I'm going to do this. So, and she's great. She's a wonderful actress anyway. She's truly fantastic. And she invests herself in this. There's a fair bit of effing and blinding and stuff, which, it's, again, I'm coming across as a prude, and I God, you guys, I swear like a fucking trooper. You know I do. But when someone's written it down, sometimes it comes across when they're forced to regurgitate this on camera. It comes across as a little bit forced and a little bit, really? Did you have to use that there and then? So the sex scene, I thought, was absolutely unnecessary. Totally unnecessary. Some of the swearing from Jodie Foster didn't feel appropriate. It didn't feel right. But again, folks, as the episodes progress and you get to know the character more, that might actually become more comfortable and believable. There's another element to this. There is and this was a surreal moment, but it made me think about that line, she's awake. There's a polar bear, a one-eyed polar bear, which strides out in front of Navarro, who has to slam on, and the polar bear glares at her with the one good eye, and then just walks on. Not exactly an unusual occurrence in Alaska, Anywhere, above the Arctic Circle, polar bears, it's going to happen. Simple as. And even down the other side, the arse end of the world, Antarctica. Yes, the thing. So these things are there. But Danvers, Jodie Foster, has a little polar bear, which we see, a little fluffy polar bear, with the same markings as this polar bear. It's only got one eye. What the fuck? And it's stuff like that, which, even though I wasn't overly impressed with the episode after the beginning, and you got to meet the characters, and I thought, I don't like any of you people at all. It might be well acted, but I don't like any of you as characters. I don't really care where you're going. You've already annoyed me. But it's elements like that which you go, oh, hang on a minute. So that, and well, that's got to be something. And this guy's a ghost that pointed this older woman, this wolf carving woman, into, finding the bodies. It is intriguing enough. If you watch the full trailer, there's a lot more things. You will see a frozen ship out on the ice. You will see Danvers going through a hole in the ice and fighting around in the frozen water beneath. And there's what looks like a bit of a riot taking place, and a bit of fighting with a nightstick and stuff. The slogans daubed on walls and stuff. So it's going to kick off big time. The idea, Issa Lopez wanted the paranoia and tense atmospheres of people being held in perpetual darkness, and how simmering tensions will come to the boil, which, it's not exactly a new concept, of course. The Thing does thrive on that. Paranoia, personal grudges, bits of bigotry perhaps in John Carpenter's The Thing, because of the heightened situation of an alien shape-shifting, assimilating badass bastard with tentacles is there, and it could look like one of you, and I don't trust you, you can see where she's getting that from. The police procedural and the lighting and the sort of dark, grim style of direction is from David Fincher and Seven, without a doubt. She also cites Michael Mann's Heat as being an inspiration. The guy that does the cinematography is a guy called Florian Hofmeister, who did The Terror. Now, The Terror came out about 3 years ago, and it's that 19th century doomed voyage into the Arctic, where they all go off into the Arctic. Do you know what? I didn't watch it. I saw the trailer for it, and I thought, this looks amazing. And then I heard everyone saying, it's fucking boring. Don't bother with it. So I didn't watch it. Now, I could be massively off the mark there. It's only what people told me, and they put me off it, to be honest. But I thought, God, that looks great. But The Terror was set in the Arctic as well. So this guy, Florian Hofmeister, is the guy that she brought in to do the photography for this movie. And they didn't film it in Alaska. No, they didn't do that. Where did he film it, folks? Iceland. Oh, well, that's great. It's full of snow and ice. It's fucking freezing. And they all filmed. They did film during the long winter time, as far as I know. Why didn't you film in Alaska? Now, would this be budgetary reasons? Are you getting tax cuts by filming in Iceland? I don't know. Maybe they are. I can only assume it's a sort of budgetary concern. You've got snow and ice there, but you're actually flying all your crew further to Iceland than you are going to Alaska. So it doesn't really make any sense, but there's got to be some kind of budgetary concern there. It's cheaper to film it in Iceland. But it looks great. I mean, it does look good. And it's all genuine snow and ice. So the cast and crew are literally moving about in the snow and the ice. And apparently, some of the exterior scenes are filmed interior, but they've done it to look like exteriors. And I've heard that there's scenes of people with no clothes on later on, who are in the freezing cold, and they've got it. But you couldn't put them out in the real freezing cold; that'd be inhuman. So they've done it interior to look exterior, and Lopez said that one of the hardest things to ask, any actor to do is to act cold when they're not cold. We spent 90% of the film in the freezing cold, so they're genuinely cold. They look cold, they're acting cold because they are cold. But when they're doing these scenes, they're interior, but they've got to act cold, and it's really hard to do it if you're nice and toasty. So, again, I'm talking myself into watching the rest of this. Because it could be great. The first episode has a lot of work to do. It's got to set up a mystery. It's got to hook you in. It's got to make you interested in the characters. It's got to create an atmosphere which you're like, yeah, I want more of this. I might be creeped out by it, but I want to see how this transpires. I'm loving the ooky kooky sort of perishing cold. It's Baltic out there sort of atmosphere. And I got that a little bit, but I did get bored by, and this is where I'm going. I'm Gemini, folks, so I'm two minds about fucking everything. Apart from this is great. I love the intro. She's awake. Who's awake? Is it the polar bear? Are we talking another influence here? I've mentioned in a video, God, I don't know, a couple of dozen back, but I remember talking about it. 2000 AD, I was going to say Judge Dredd then, but of course Judge Dredd sprang from 2000 AD. British comic, sci-fi comic from the late 70s into the 80s, and continuing. They had an offshoot called Shaco, and Shaco was a huge polar bear which took on American special forces and Russian Spetsnaz and laid waste to everybody, and it was just gored up like blood on snow. It was fucking amazing. So am I going to get a hint? Am I getting a hint of Shaco from this? Was those guys in the research station working on that polar bear, the one-eyed polar bear? Were they doing something and it got loose and it's super powerful? I'm making this shit up, by the way. And then they went out to chase after it and it terrified them, and they're all like frozen in the ice. We don't know how they died. Did they die of fright? Did they die of exposure? Were they frozen to death? What happened to them? You can't quite tell. They're just like in the ice. But this is meant to be, and the showrunner has said, no, there are supernatural and sci-fi elements to this. There are. So, that's what you want. You can't set this sort of thing up and say that, we're influenced by The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. Well, The Hateful Eight was inspired by The Thing. Quentin Tarantino's movie, with Kurt Russell, of course. And the unused elements of Morricone's score for The Thing playing as its soundtrack. And people isolated with lots of facial hair and, lots of furs and layers in a snowy wilderness. and someone is not who they're pretending to be. It is The Thing. But there's a great variation on it. We're inspired by The Thing. You know we're doing The Thing. But it's a Western and it's a totally different story. This is inspired by The Thing. Let's just see how far it goes. Does it bring in a lot more sort of sci-fi? Because that's not, to my knowledge, that's not True Detective. I don't think. I don't know about season 2, season 3. I don't know. Did they delve into different realms? I don't know. I really couldn't tell you. Is this going to go out there a little bit more? These guys were scientists delving into the creation of life and the biomechanics of life. You've got a one-eyed polar bear. You've already got a vision of a ghost there. But that could just be the mother, the sister, the whatever she is, her connection to this spirit, pointer, out there. An impressionist dancer in the snow and the ice. You've got that, but that could be just in her mind, and she just wandered out and found these bodies. But you've got the log lady, and who was the wild, hairy bastard from Twin Peaks? Oh, I forgot his name now. Oh my God. He was scary though, wasn't he? But this seems, that entire thing reminded me of Twin Peaks just all over again. So to me, watching episode 1, The Thing is there, yep, really overtly as well, but also is, and massively more so, is Twin Peaks. Because of everyone's crazy mixed up backstories, which are obviously going to form a confluence and converge together, and we're all going to get revelations and stuff like this whole thing about the unsolved murder. That's clearly going to lead into all of this, and to solve this, you're going to have to solve that crime. In the trailer as well, there's a marking on a wall, or a marking on a body, I think, and then I think Navarro, the state trooper, says I've seen this mark before, and then in the montage of the trailer, you see it on a wall somewhere, which could be a flashback to earlier with the previous murder. The more I'm talking about this, the more I'm actually quite excited about it. And I was going to just try to be a bit more, I don't know, on the fence about it, but you can't make your mind up by one episode. I know you probably can sometimes, but this is shit, don't like it, hate him, hate her, this story's crap, never watch any more of it. Yeah, it's easy actually, to be honest. This had enough to make me want to watch another one, but it does hinge upon how the next episode goes. If it gives you some answers and then propels more mystery, but gives you a bit more bite, like traction in the snow and ice, you've got to get some momentum going. This began with a great sort of, whoa, what the hell is happening here? And then it went slow burn, and okay. And then you got what I thought was just unnecessary background details. They may well turn out to be very important, probably so. And I'll be the first to say, oh God, you know what, this really worked. That element I was dissing, well, who'd have thought that would be the offshoot? But that's writing, that's clever writing for you, if it works. So I'm saying, folks, I'm kind of elements of this I liked, but a lot more I was either bored with or oh God, do we need this? Can't we just cut to the chase and propel the story a bit more? We'll see. Episode 2 it's a weekly thing, so you can't binge watch it either. Which in a way is great because it gives us a chance to talk about it. I know. Otherwise, this would have been I would never have mentioned it. I'd have watched the first 2 and gone, oh shit, this can't be arsed. I would never have talked about it. But at least, now, no matter what happens in the next episode, you who might not have watched it may go and watch it and love it. And then, you might inspire me to be more engaged with it. You might spot things I did not spot. I only watched it last night, and I've been out as well. So, in the snow and ice and the pub, which was nice and toasty in there. And you know when you're overdressed, you know, you've gone out and it's like -3. In fact, it was -5 last night here. It was -3 all morning till almost like midday. -3. Oh, listen, I did Arctic warfare training in Norway, so you know it means nothing to me. It means nothing to me. You still feel the fucking cold, and I wear a kilt, so I'm more immune to the cold than most people. I wear a kilt and just skimpy tops normally, but no, getting older now. The blood moves a bit slower through the veins, mainly because it's competing with this stuff, which rushes through the veins, you know. But yeah, you guys, if you've watched it, let me know what you think. If you're gonna go and watch it, oh shit, sorry, I did spoil some of that there. Hey, it's been on for a few days, so there you go. True Detective, Night Country, which I think it's a bit of a shit title. Isn't it the first one when they've had a subtitle? It's just been True Detective True Detective, then season 2, then season 3, and this one's True Detective, Night Country. To differentiate it, like, Foster is great. She's never not been great. Despite the pinched look to her face now. Oh God, what am I doing? You know, I'll be that age soon, for Christ's sake. And I'm a craggy-faced bastard now. I've got a face like eons of ice encrusted over a mammoth's body. That's how striated I am. And when I go out there on the way to the pub in the next sort of 10 minutes or so, I'll have little stalactites and stalagmites growing from the beard, the mouth and the nostrils. Folks, The Thing rules, and its influence is huge and far-reaching. I love this. This is a film that I loved when it first came out back in 1982. Saw it then, loved it. Watched the horrific backlash and critical disdain for it. And then when it hit home video, having told all my mates about it and got it on home video straight away, and they all come round to ours and watched it, and I educated them in, like, the guy that did these effects is a guy called Rob Bottin. He's got dead long hair. The guy that made it is John Carpenter. He did Halloween, and I saw it on Precinct 13. I loved doing that. What an annoying twat I must have been. But that's Kilt-Man for you. And then I watched as it grew a life on home video, and more people were talking about it. It was featured more in magazines, which there weren't that many at the time, but suddenly it had more of a popularity which was tangible. And the critics began to change their minds. Oh, the critics who hated The Thing when it first came out, utterly lambasted it for lack of character. It was just disgusting. It was just depravity, relentless gore, which is a lie, of course. Badly acted, a story which was unnecessary. Not a patch on the original 1951 version, which is not a patch on the novella, which The Thing, John Carpenter's Thing, is based upon. His version is very, very accurate to the original novella. The 1951 version, you can probably see just poking above this here, is a big canvas for the original one, but you can barely see it. And I'm a massive fan of the original Thing, The Thing from Another World. I've covered it. I've done a commentary track for it, I think, as well on the channel. But I absolutely love both versions of the movie. But The Thing, John Carpenter style, won over new fans and new critics, and has now become it's in the top 10 of a lot of film critics who despised it when it came out. You lying bastards. You could always change your opinion, but they did it because, oh God, everyone's loving this movie. I'll watch it again. They didn't like it at first because of stupid, almost political reasons. Steven Spielberg's E.T. was out and like, oh, that's the nice thing. Oh, we can't have a nasty, horrible alien. Oh, it's just been done before. Oh, alien nastiness has been done before. You know, it's... Anyway. But I've championed it since 1982. In fact, I championed it even before then when Starburst in the UK ran a preview spread of photos, all in black and white, of John Carpenter's The Thing, but it wouldn't be out in this country for a good few months. And I looked at the pictures and I thought, oh my God. And I'd seen The Thing from the Wild and I thought, oh, on TV, and I was like, oh God, I can't wait for this. And I was only a kid, you know, I'd be like, what, 11 years old, something like that. I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to watch this. This is going to be amazing. And it was. So, it's Lopez. If you're going to take inspiration from anything, from whatever, and, you know, take it from the best. And to give her some credit, some more credit, she actually said in the big interview I read, she said, look, everyone's going to know we're ripping off The Thing. We're doing The Thing here. She really banged on about The Thing a lot. Although I see more Twin Peaks than The Thing, as I said before. She said, well, let's just go with it, because what's the point? I'm inspired by The Thing. I want to do my version of The Thing. So I'll just be out there with it. Why hide it? Why just try to be subtle? I want to show that I love The Thing. Now, for that alone, you've got to give it a bit more credit, because everyone's inspired by John Carpenter. And, you know, come on, let's do it. Oh, there's something else which I don't like about it. Oh, God. And this is, see the yin and yang, the Gemini. Again, I can't help myself, can I? The theme song is by Billie Eilish, who I can't stand. What's it called? Bury My Friend. Is it Bury My Friend? Something melancholy and mean and like, and dreary and fucking shite. Remember what you did to No Time to Die? Oh, dear God. Can't stand her. Sorry, if you're a fan of Billie Eilish, or if you are Billie Eilish, loving your work, only my opinion, I can't stand your stuff. Dreary, boring, melancholy, miserable. Sorry. But, oh God, Lopez. Issa Lopez. I thought, it's perfect. To sum up the mood and atmosphere and character of what I'm trying to tell. Well, that's fine. I don't like it, but, you know, but if it sums up, if that's what you think sums it up, I'm not going to argue with that. Apparently, she wanted to have Radiohead in there as well. Yeah, and no, Radiohead, again, grim, nihilistic, melancholy. But we haven't used any Radiohead in the show on the soundtrack. But she said, I listened to Radiohead all the time, and the show is massively inspired by Radiohead as well. So, woo! This is going to be a happy joy serial, isn't it? But The Thing is not exactly your happiest go-lucky kind of story anyway. They all die, horrible deaths, and at the end, well, I'm not going down that road, that ice road all over again. I've done videos on this, I've written about this. Who's the thing at the end? As far as I'm concerned, neither of them are. Neither. But they're both gonna die. And that's the bitter irony of it all. But the beautiful, majestic swan song, the parting shot that Carpenter gives you, and Bill Lancaster, who wrote the script, is like, you don't really know. Because we're never going to tell you who's the thing or who isn't the thing, whether they're both human, whether they're both things, whether they get picked up, they survive. We're not going to tell you. We're going to let you use your imagination to work it out. Brave maneuver back in 1982, and it backfired on him. And of course, it's done now, and they didn't know it at the time. It's created decades and decades of people trying to work it out. Isn't that just fucking genius? They didn't know it at the time that they were doing that, but they created a mystery, a conundrum for the ages. And what you don't want is a sequel, which certain studios Blumhouse seem to want to do. Don't give away that secret. The prequel was bad enough, although it's enjoyable in many ways, but it's still unnecessary, and it does kind of destroy the mythos. You've got to keep things in the audience's imagination. Don't show them, don't tell. Let your own mind work it out and tell your own stories. Once you show it, once you do it, prequels mostly don't fucking work. Sequels, cycles don't fucking work, mostly. So The Thing is perfect. It is perfect. It is like Ash says about the alien. It's a perfect organism. Its structural perfection is matched only by its hostility. But The Thing itself, as an organism, is perfect. It just assimilates anything. And it imitates him. And imitates him perfectly. It's a beautiful bloody creation. In science fiction, the horror analogy, and it's just, and the movie is forever imitated and emulated against all the critics at the time who said otherwise. So let's just hope that True Detective Night Country does live up to this. If that's what she's saying is her inspiration, you have the intro, and the kind of setting of Snow and Ice is thing bound, and paranoia and distrust and backstories. The Thing didn't rely upon backstories, but this being a detective show with prior mysteries has to do that, I suppose. But she belaboured the point about The Thing being everything about this. When it's more Twin Peaks, a fair bit of Seven in there. Even that guy, the Florian Hofmeister, talked about the beautifully shot sequence at the start of The Thing, where you got Jed, the husky dog, the Malamute wolf dog hybrid, ploughing across the snow, being pursued by the not Swedish, Mac, they're Norwegian, in the helicopter. Shooting that. Really bad shots. And really bad with hand grenades as well. Fucking awful. But he said that shot, the open, vast wastes of snow and ice, the white and the clinical detail of a helicopter and a husky, I just wanted to capture that. And True Detective Night Country starts off with a guy that you don't see again. I don't think you do anyway after this first sequence. Not in the first episode anyway. There's caribou, and he's about to snipe a caribou. They're all there on a plateau. Twin peaks of ice. Twin Peaks again there. And they're on a promontory of ice. And one drifts off, and he's like, "Oh, I'll take you." And then I don't know, something happens. All the caribou sort of lift their heads up and right, we're off. And he's like, and they all run together en masse, and then take a death plunge off the edge of the precipice. And he's just like that. What caused that? That's a great thing. Great thing. And I think that's what Hofmeister is saying, and probably I keep forgetting the name. I do apologize. Issa Lopez. These names don't trip off the tongue because they're not like John Carpenter, and I apologize for that. But they're clearly, that's Jed, the Malamute, legging across the snow, pursued by hunters. You got a hunter after an indigenous animal, and they all herd away and run away, and it's an enigmatic, bizarre shot in the vast barren snow and ice and whiteout. There's another film which reminds me of the rather lousy but also Thing-inspired Kate Beckinsale murder mystery Whiteout, which is bloody awful, folks. Bloody awful. And the horrible references to The Thing in that are just so sledgehammered in. It's annoying. Although she is still super fit though. Loving your work, Kate. Loving your work. So, folks, it's not J and B. That's over here. Yeah, there it is. This is a. It's not J and B. It's M&S. It's M&S. Marks and Spencer. Blended Scotch whiskey. It's actually all right, you know. Kind of got used to this. So, there you go. Please do comment below. Let me know what you think about True Detective Night Country. Is it shit? Is it great? Has it got you hooked? Do you want to know more? Are the Thing references great? Do they work? Are they nice homage to it? Do you want to see where it all leads to? The trailer makes it look fantastic because like she goes under the ice and there's like a big fight scene. There's also crazy stuff taking place, shadows leaping past things. You've got that as well. You've got like in the oh god, what am I doing? I should have just ended this by now, shouldn't I? You've got like Fuchs in the Thing. He's doing some little test and the power goes out and he gets his little candle out and he's like that. And then as he goes towards the doorway, a shadow goes and he goes. Huh! You've got that in this as well. There's stuff in that research station. If it turns out to be Russians or some big pharmaceutical company, oh God, please don't be that. Please don't be that. I want a big polar bear, mutated polar bear that's been experimented on and then took revenge. And it's now going to lay siege. And it then can change shape and become an Inuit Indian detective. I don't know where I'm going with it. Please comment below, let me know. And in the meantime, this ever thing embracing in between time, please keep it Celtic, keep it Celtic. And I'm going to see you all. Watch Clark. Watch him close. You hear me?